After burying my mother alone because my husband claimed he couldn't get off work, I opened Facebook to see him tagged in vacation photos with his coworker. When I confronted him, he said, "You're too much drama." I used that drama to fuel a viral post, and watched him lose his job, his girlfriend, and the respect of everyone he thought he fooled. My mom passed away on a Tuesday afternoon. It was cloudy that day. The hospital room felt small even though I was the only one in it. I was holding her hand. She was breathing slow, her skin cold. I watched the machines. I knew what was coming. But nothing prepares you for the moment the screen goes flat. The nurse put her hand on my shoulder and said she was sorry. I don't remember if I replied. My husband, Blake, didn't come. He texted earlier that morning, said he had a huge client pitch and couldn't miss it. Said he'd try to come by later. He didn't. I spent that night on my mom's couch in her apartment, crying into a throw pillow that still smelled like her lotion. 2 days later, I started making funeral arrangements. Alone. Blake said he'd help where he could. That meant nothing. I picked out the casket by myself. I called the church. I sorted through photos for the program. I drove across town to collect the death certificate. He texted me once, "Let me know what time the service is. I'll see if I can come." I told him it was Saturday at 10 a.m. Saturday morning came. I called him at 8. No answer. Called again at 8:30. Nothing. At 9:12 a.m., I got a text, "Sorry. Something came up at work. I can't make it. I'm really sorry. I'll call you later." That's when I knew something was off. My mom raised me alone. I was her only child. She worked night shifts at a gas station and still found time to pack my school lunches. She never missed a play or a dentist appointment, even when she had the flu. She gave up her life for me. And the one person who should have stood next to me that day, the one person who promised for better or worse, couldn't bother to show up. I stood at her grave in black heels, holding an umbrella, while the pastor said words I barely heard. A few neighbors showed up. Her friend Dolores from church held my hand during the eulogy. I kept looking down the path, hoping maybe Blake's car would pull up. It never did. When I got home, the house was empty. I poured a glass of wine. My hands were shaking. I sat at the table and opened Facebook without thinking. And there he was. Smiling. In the mountains. I'll never forget that moment. That image. He was sitting in a kayak, sunglasses on, paddle in hand, grinning like a boy on summer vacation. The caption read, "Weekend escape with the best adventure buddy Greenheart #EstusPark #Wanderlust." He was tagged. Right there, clear as day. Next to him in almost every photo, Clara. Long dark hair, fake lashes, always wearing some kind of leggings. She was in his department. I'd met her once at his company's annual party. She shook my hand and called me Blake's better half. She laughed like everything was an inside joke. In the photos, they looked close. Way too close. One photo, they were standing on a rock, her head leaning against his chest, both of them looking out at a lake. Another, she was wrapped in his hoodie. A selfie in the car. Her head on his shoulder, both of them laughing. I couldn't breathe. I opened her Facebook. Public. Big mistake on her part. Her photos were all tagged, all time-stamped. Saturday morning, 10:14 a.m., the exact time I was standing over my mother's grave crying, Clara posted a picture of Blake standing next to a waterfall with the caption, "I'm never this happy at work." Face with tears of joy, I called him. He answered like nothing was wrong. "Hey, can't talk long, what's up?" "You said you had to work," I said. My voice was shaking. He didn't say anything. "I buried my mother alone, Blake." There was a pause. Then he gave this sigh, like I was being annoying. "I didn't think you'd find out." That's what he said. Like it was a mistake he got caught, not what he did. She's just a coworker. It wasn't a romantic thing. We were with a group. I saw the photos. It's not what it looks like. You're holding her hand, Blake. He got defensive. Fast. Okay, well, I didn't plan it this way. You're acting like I'm some monster. I told you I was sorry. You didn't say anything. You lied. Then came the line that flipped a switch inside me. You're being too much drama right now. I can't deal with this. He hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. I don't know what changed in me at that moment. Maybe it was how cold he sounded. Maybe it was thinking about how my mom always told me, don't let a man treat you like you're a burden. Maybe it was just rage. But I decided right then I wasn't going to cry anymore. If he thought I was drama, he had no idea what I was capable of. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I went into quiet mode. Focused. First, I documented everything. Screenshots of the Facebook posts. Timestamps. Comments. Her post showing the airport gate with the caption "Wheels up." Hashtag COBound. It matched the day he told me he was working late. Then I logged into the home computer. He'd left his work email open. His calendar had a big block for that weekend labeled "OOO, Estes trip." Right there in blue. Not even password protected. I made a folder. Labeled it Truth. I wrote a post. Not long. Not angry. Last Saturday, I buried my mother alone. My husband said he couldn't be there because of a big work project. But today, I saw pictures of him in Colorado with a coworker. While I stood over my mother's casket, he was off vacationing and smiling for selfies. I'm not asking for advice. I just wanted people to know what real betrayal looks like. I tagged him. Then I shared it to 3 Facebook groups I was in, a Tulsa Women's Network, a local community yard sale page, and a forum for outdoor hikers in the area. I knew he was in that last one. I knew people would recognize him. It spread fast. By the next day, the post had thousands of reactions. Hundreds of comments. People started sharing it to their own pages. Some recognized Clara and commented things like, "She was my coworker once, this tracks," and "Guess HR missed the memo." People from his office saw it. Someone messaged me, "Just so you know, Blake is Clara's direct manager. Their relationship is a fireable offense." I didn't reply. I didn't have to. That Monday, his company's HR department opened an investigation. He got suspended with pay. Clara too. By Friday, they were both fired. For violating the company's relationship policy and for reputation damage. Blake texted me after the news. "You ruined my life." No, Blake. You did. You lied. You skipped your own mother-in-law's funeral. You took your mistress on vacation the day I needed you most. You called me drama when I confronted you with the truth. After he got fired, Blake started spiraling. At first, he tried to play the victim. He told his friends I was crazy and unstable. Claimed I sabotaged his career over one bad weekend. But people weren't buying it. Not after the screenshots. Not after Clara's own friends started commenting things like, "She always chased married guys," and "She told me she was in love with her boss." I didn't even have to do anything. The truth did the work. Still, Blake kept pushing back. He tried to move back into the house. Showed up one afternoon with a duffel bag and a smug look on his face, like he thought enough time had passed. "I need somewhere to stay for a while," he said, standing in the doorway like he owned the place. "You need to leave," I told him. "I still have rights here. My name's on the mortgage. I already filed." He looked shocked, like he didn't think I'd actually go through with it. "You're really gonna do this? You skipped my mother's funeral. You lied to me. You cheated. And you thought I'd just cry in a corner and wait for you to come home. I lost my job. My name's been dragged through the mud. What more do you want? I want you out of my life. I shut the door in his face. He stood there for a minute, then finally left. Slower than he needed to, like he wanted me to change my mind. I didn't. But he didn't give up. A few days later, I started getting strange calls. Unknown numbers. No one on the line. Then one night around midnight, someone threw eggs at my front window. I didn't see who it was, but I knew. I reported it to the police. Filed a report. I told them I thought it was my husband, soon-to-be ex. They said they'd patrol the street more often. The next morning, there was a dead bird on my windshield. No note. Nothing else. Just the bird. I took a picture and sent it to Blake. He didn't reply. But 2 hours later, I got a message from a fake Instagram account. You deserved worse. I reported it. Blocked it. But I knew it was him, or one of his friends, trying to scare me. I told my lawyer. She added it to the divorce filings. She also suggested a restraining order. I said yes. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Clara reached out to me. Through a burner account. Different name, but I recognized her photo. Her message said, "You don't know the whole story. He told me you two were already separated. He said your mom hated him and that you didn't want him at the funeral." I didn't know he was lying until it was too late. At first, I ignored her. But she messaged again. I'm sorry. I really am. He's not who I thought he was. He said you were violent. That you'd threatened him. He told everyone I was chasing him. Now he won't even talk to me. I didn't feel sorry for her. But I didn't hate her either. Not anymore. I replied once. Now you know how it feels to be lied to by someone you trusted. She never messaged again. 3 weeks later, I found out Blake was trying to get another job, at a company 2 towns over. My cousin worked there. She messaged me. Hey, didn't your ex apply here? He listed you as a reference. Want me to talk to HR? I said yes. She forwarded my post. The screenshots. The firing record. They took him off the interview list the same day. He started getting desperate. He messaged me one night, long rant. You've taken everything. My job. My friends. I have nothing left. You're turning everyone against me. I didn't answer. But deep down, I was starting to feel something shift. Not guilt. Not regret. Power. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. He used to talk down to me. Used to make me second-guess myself. Called me too emotional, too sensitive, too intense. Now I was just done. And the best part? I still had cards to play. About a month after Blake got fired, I thought things would start dying down. But that's when it took another turn. I got a call from Blake's sister, April. We weren't close. She always stayed out of our business, which I respected. But this time, she was pissed. I just wanted you to know Blake showed up at Mom and Dad's last night drunk, yelling about how you destroyed his life. He broke Dad's garage window trying to get in after they locked him out. I didn't even know he drank like that. He wasn't much of a drinker when we were together. But apparently losing his job, his girlfriend, and his reputation hit him harder than I thought. April said their parents told him to get help or stay away. They were done with him. I guess even they reached their limit. That should have made me feel satisfied. But it didn't. It made me worried. Because desperate people do stupid things. And Blake was starting to get desperate. A week later, I came out to my car in the grocery store parking lot and found the back tire slashed. It was a clean cut. Not an accident. No note. No cameras in that part of the lot. I reported it again. This time, I brought in the bird photo and the egg incident too. The officer took it more seriously now that there was a pattern. They made a report and told me they'd add patrols in the neighborhood. Said they couldn't prove it was him without evidence. I understood. But I also knew. And I wasn't just going to sit back and wait for him to take another swing. So I started recording everything. I got cameras installed at the front and back of the house. I set up alerts on my phone. I even bought a small dash cam for my car. Then I made a burner Facebook account. At first, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But then I got an idea. Blake had a friend, Jeff. They weren't best friends, but close enough. Jeff was the kind of guy who always thought he was above women. Loud, rude, always talking about betas and alphas. He used to make comments at parties like, "You sure you can handle Blake? He's a lot of man." I always smiled and walked away. I never liked him. But I knew he still talked to Blake. So I used the burner account to follow Jeff. He had bad settings, everything public. Every Friday, like clockwork, he posted about poker night. Same bar. Same group. Same time. And guess who showed up in the background of the photos a few weeks later? Blake. Drunk. Laughing. Sitting with his arm around some girl who didn't look older than 22. I zoomed in. There he was, wearing the same North Face jacket I bought him last Christmas. I kept watching. A few posts later, Jeff made a joke. Some guys can't stay away from their intern's face with tears of joy that caught my attention. So I dug deeper. Turns out, Jeff ran a small video production company. Did ads for car dealerships and real estate agencies. Nothing big, but enough to have a couple interns. And Blake? He was working there under the table. No benefits. No official title. Just helping with outdoor brand strategy, whatever that meant. It wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that Blake was already trying to rebuild his reputation, and was doing it exactly the same way. New job. New girl. New lie. I took screenshots of everything. Then I reached out to Jeff's newest client. A local real estate group. I sent them a polite, factual message. I saw your team is working with a man named Blake Halpern through Jeff's agency. Just wanted to share this, in case it affects your brand alignment. Attached, screenshots of Blake and Clara. The original post. The firing notice someone had DM'd me weeks earlier. All dated, all clear. I didn't hear back right away. But a few days later, I saw Jeff post that one of their contracts had been unexpectedly pulled. I smiled. Then came the real twist. Remember Clara? I didn't think I'd ever hear from her again. But she messaged me again, this time from her real account. She asked if we could talk. I wasn't sure. But I agreed to meet her. Public place. Daylight. We met at a coffee shop. She looked tired. Pale. Makeup smudged like she hadn't been sleeping. She sat down, ordered a coffee, then just stared at it. I thought I knew who he was, she said. I thought he really cared about me. I didn't say anything. He told me you were abusive. He said you hit him once. Said he stayed with you out of guilt. That made me laugh. Not because it was funny. Just because it was so pathetic. I never laid a hand on him, I said. Ever. She nodded. I figured that out eventually. But I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe I wasn't the bad guy. She paused, then pulled something from her purse. A notebook. She slid it across the table. What's this? I asked. Proof, she said. He wrote everything down. He had this notebook he kept in his backpack. Rants, plans, who he was going to go after next. He even had stuff in there about your mom. I opened it. First page said, "She'll never leave. She's too scared. Once her mom dies, she'll be even weaker." I turned the page. It got worse. I sat in that coffee shop with Clara for almost an hour, flipping through the notebook Blake had kept. It was worse than I imagined. Pages and pages of his thoughts. His plans. His complaints about me, about work, about women in general. He called me dead weight. Said things like, "Once her mom's gone, I'll finally be free to live how I want." He wrote about how Clara made him feel young again and how he planned to slowly phase out our marriage once the dust settled. He even joked in writing about missing the funeral. "Can't fake grief I don't feel. She can deal with it alone." What broke me, though, was this line, written a week after Mom died: "Drama queen's gonna milk this death for attention. I just need to stay low until it blows over." I read it twice. 3 times. That was when the last piece of me that cared snapped off. Clara told me she found the notebook in his backpack a few days earlier when he passed out drunk at her place. She took it and never said a word to him. She wanted to walk away with proof in case he came after her. Smart. I asked if I could keep it. She said yes. She apologized again. Said she never wanted to hurt me. I told her I believed her. And I meant it. But I also told her she'd have to live with what she did. Just like I lived with the moment I lowered my mom's casket into the ground alone. She nodded. And we never spoke again. The notebook changed everything. Because now I had proof. Proof of what kind of person Blake really was. Not just a cheater. A manipulator. A liar. Someone who used people, lied to them, and made fun of their pain when he thought no one was looking. So I called my lawyer. We added the notebook as evidence to the divorce case. Then I made one last post. This will be my final update. Many of you followed what happened after my husband skipped my mother's funeral to go on vacation with his coworker. You saw the photos. You saw the fallout. What you didn't see was the truth I found afterward. I recently received something he never meant anyone to see, a notebook full of lies, insults, and plans. He called me weak. He said I'd never leave. He mocked my mother's death. But I did leave. And I didn't just walk away. I left with my head up, while he lost his job, his side piece, his friends, and now, his chance at a clean divorce. Because of what's in that notebook, the judge awarded me sole ownership of our house. I got the car. I got the savings account. I got everything that mattered. He walked away with nothing. And if he ever tries to come near me again, I have a copy of that notebook sitting with the police. Along with a restraining order. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about truth. So to the women who've ever been called too much, too emotional, or drama, you're not. Sometimes drama is just what happens when the truth finally comes out. The post went viral again. Thousands of shares. Thousands of comments. Most people were kind. Supportive. Angry for me. But some asked if I regretted putting it all out there. The answer? No. Blake spent years turning himself into a victim, thinking no one would ever question him. And maybe I helped that happen. I ignored the red flags. I let things slide. I tried to keep the peace. That's on me. But when it counted, when it really counted, I didn't stay quiet. The last I heard of Blake, he moved out of state. Somewhere in Missouri, living in a friend's garage, trying to start over. No job. No family. No girlfriend. And even if he does get back on his feet, that notebook exists. The truth exists. And I made sure it's not going anywhere. As for me? I stayed in Tulsa. I repainted the living room. I turned the guest room into a reading nook, just like my mom always said I should. And I started volunteering at the hospice center that cared for her. The pain never goes away. but it softens. And now, when I think about her, I think about her strength. Her loyalty. Her voice. She would have told me to fight. So I did. And I won.